He played every role, and he loved family. That's what he started the 3HO organization, and healthy, happy, holy. And he said, this is my bigger family. I could only produce 3 children, and now I have produced under thousands of them. And he used to tell me, are you not lucky how many children I am giving you without doing anything? He was a special soul when he was born. His father, Papaji, he was also a medical doctor. So when he was 40 days old, he had a backpack. In those days, there was no backpack. So he made from a sheet, he made a backpack and wrapped him in that, on his neck, and carried him to all these gurdwaras and the temples, which he has said, when I will get the son, I will go take him to all the temples. So that's when there is a connection with the Golden Temple, Guru Ramdas started. And he was the most devoted to Guru Ramdas. I have never seen a person who was so dedicated to Guru Ramdas. There was nothing in words you can match with that. When he was a little, he got very sick. And Papaji, my father-in-law, he took him to many doctors, even though he himself was a medical doctor. Then somebody told him, take him to Amritsar. So Papaji went to his sister's house. She lived in Amritsar. From her roof of her house, he could see the Golden Temple. And his younger brother had died before that. So he went there. He said, Guru Ramdas, I have already lost my one eye. My one son is gone. I don't want to lose this, this son. Please tell me what should I do. He has an earache and it's not going away. And my son is dying with that. So the minute Papaji came down, and then Siddhi Singh Sahib, when he was maybe 5-6 years old, he looked at him and he said, you can burn the onion, heat up sesame mustard oil and put raw onion in it and heat it up till onion is get brown, and then strain it and put it in my ears. And Papaji said, you are not speaking. It's Guru Ramdas is telling you what I should do. So they did that remedy and he got better and everything went well with him. Then when he was 16 years old, he became master of Kundalini Yoga. He loved to learn everything possible he could do. He could read auras of people, he could read the faces. He would tell them, just looking at them, that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Sometimes he had a bad accident people had, then he realized I should not have told him. So he stopped telling them the bad things, but he will guide them what they should do. And then he was a government officer. In customs and excise, he was posted at New Delhi at the airport. Sometime when he will have a night duty, he will do all his officers when planes are not coming. He will teach them Kundalini Yoga and meditation at night. He said, you all have to stay awake, why should not I teach you? So he will have his class right there. And wherever opportunity he will find, he will teach Kundalini Yoga. He loved to teach and share. And that's what the Aquarian age is. Now that Aquarian age is, we share with everybody with love, compassion, and that's the age of teachers. And that's what Guru for Aquarian age is Guru Nanak. The first book which was written in 3HO, Guru Nanak's picture, and Siddhi Singh Sahib gave the name Guru of the Aquarian age. And Guru Nanak, when he came and he brought the mantra, Mool mantra, Ek Omkar Satnam Karta Par, you all know that. because my voice doesn't go that far. And so that he said, Guru Nanak said, this is the universal mantra for every religion, every word. It has a sound current. It doesn't have a stamp of any religion. And Guru Nanak's birthday was yesterday, 542 years. And from that time, this mantra has been given us to chant, and then to get the compassion and sharing, and all the Sikh values which he set up, share with others, earn your living with the sweat of your brow, and give the 1/10 of your earning for the good cause. And all these doctrines he gave for the Sikh religion, he said it's not going to be Sikh religion, it will be universal religion, and that it doesn't have any religion in it. It is the universe in it, and it belongs to every person on this world. And that's what Sri Singh Sahib was. When he left his job from India, he came to Canada to teach, set up a Kundalini Yoga chair in the university. The professor who invited him, he had an accident, so he died. So he didn't know many people there in Toronto. So he started teaching people in downtown, where hippies were sitting on the streets, and then county didn't know what to do with them. So he took them in the town hall, and he said, I will teach you, make you high with the meditation and yoga. So one day they came, and the streets were all clean, and nobody was sitting outside. And they said, what happened? They said, that man who came from India, he is teaching yoga classes, everybody is sitting there. And that's where he came with that slogan, drugs are drags. And he said, I will keep you high with the yoga and meditation and the chanting. And that's how he started in the West teaching Kundalini Yoga. Even though he used to teach all these embassies, people will come to our house to learn Kundalini Yoga from him. But in the West, that was the beginning of Kundalini Yoga. And then he moved to Los Angeles and started the ashram there. And then they gave the name of Triacho organization. But instead of organization, he always said, this is a Triacho family. We are not people from different cultures. We all belong to one God and to one Guru, and our motive of our life and purpose of our life is the same. We have to share our teachings and help everybody, and then earn our living, and then help the needy. That's how in the Sikh religion we call it a langar. The free food is served. So that's how it started, that the langar part, that we serve the people, whoever walks in. And that's what his habit was. Anybody who will walk it into our house, they have to be fed. It doesn't matter what time it is. So when I got married, I didn't cook at home, even though we had servants. And in Yogiji's house, we had servants. But I learned cooking because you never knew what time people are going to come, and he will tell me, serve them food. So I will get up at night and put the servants with me and start cooking. Doesn't matter, there are 20 or 50, however it was. Then when we came to America, and that I learned more to feed people, because they all were Americans, nobody knew how to cook. I was the only one cook, so I started cooking. I used to wear Indian sarees that time. I didn't wear turban, and I will be fully dressed up and stand in the kitchen and start cooking till morning, till night. And in those days, the streets will be filled with people, because they will never end up. All homeless people will come to eat. And I didn't know when to finish and who I should tell them that I am tired, because everybody was new to me also. Then I started training people, the girls and the boys who was with me, my helpers. I said, I will teach you. So they started learning. So it became my good team, and anytime Sri Singh Sahib will say, Sarab people, I will call my team. So wherever I went, I learned that formula. So I started teaching everybody around me. So wherever, the minute he says it, we all will jump up and get into the kitchen, and half an hour food will be ready. That's how he was. He was very dedicated to his teachings. He never wanted the teaching should be changed or altered. He was perfectionist. The way he said the mudras or the sutras, it has to be pronounced the same way. That's what KRI does now. They give the mantras and tell you how to do it and how the kriyas are done exactly the way Sri Singh Sahib taught them. So his teaching stays the way he left it. And he loved everything. I don't know what else to say that. There was nothing which he did not love. He loved birds. We have peacocks at the ranch. And he wrote a proclamation. Before he died, he said, nobody will ever stop my birds or give away my birds. All this ranch belongs to them, not to anybody else. So they have a right over there also, not the person living there. He loved birds, he loved animals, he loved people. Anybody will walk in, he will clean them out and take them, give them money, go buy clothes, come eat here and sit there. For counseling, he will spend hours and hours with people. When somebody will walk in, he will read their aura and he will say, sit down, and they will say, sir, I have asked my question. He said, no, you are not ready to go yet. He will sit there 8 hours in the whole day and work with them, and we all will say, why he is putting so much time on one person when other people are waiting? And then he will say, no, this person needs me more than anybody else. I know his destiny brought him here. I have to change his destiny. Sometime he will tell people, go bring me food. Sometime he told Guru Ka Singh, bring me food every night. He brought food for months. And we all will say, there is so much food here. Why he tells Guru Ka Singh? And the food will come, we will say, everybody will say, sir, Guru Ka Singh brought food. He said, fine. Now somebody will walk in, he will feed them. And we said, why you tell him? He said, no, I am changing his destiny. He is supposed to cook and serve people. It's not like I need money, I need food. I want them to cook it, so then they have to clean off their karmas. Sometimes your spiritual teacher tells you, give that person $10. You say, why should I give? But that is the time you don't know if you are giving $10, maybe tenfold it's coming back to you. Maybe prosperity is blocked there. You have to give something to get. So he knew all those things there, and many times we all will question sitting around. He was always sitting with 15, 20, 30 people, never alone. Nobody could talk privately because you have to talk publicly. But whoever is sitting there, he will say, there's no privacy with me. Whatever you want to talk, we are family, it's okay. Everything is confidential. And that's how he dealt with people, and each person feels, I was so close, personally close to him, and the other will say, I was very close to him. So everybody had a personal relationship with him, an intimate relationship with him. Nobody can say, I was closer and you are distant. So each student feels like, I was so close to Sri Singh Sahib, he told me this thing. And the other will say, oh, he told me that also. He will call people middle of the night and then wake them up. Sometimes he will say, I am testing them, are they up for sadhana, or they are just sleeping. And sometime he will say, oh, I have to give the message, I don't want to delay the message. I am a messenger, so whatever message I get from God, I have to give to them. People will bring a lot of presents to him, and he will put it on the altar and let it sit there, and he will pray for that, and he will say, I am cleaning their karma, their prosperity was blocked, and how this is prosperity is going to open up. And it was amazing. People will say, I brought one present, I got this business, I got that business. Everything is working out well for me. That's how he was. And for the Aquarian age, and then he was also worshipper of Shabad Guru. Whenever he will get sick, he go to hospital and go for surgeries. And I will take the small Guru Granth Sahib with me in hand, and then we'll take hukam there, like a reading with the one, randomly you open a page, whatever you read, one paragraph, that becomes the order of the day. So we'll read the hukam, and then he will go for surgeries. And then he never missed his, 2 o'clock he used to do his sadhana, his prayers, and as many long hours it takes, he will do that. When he will get sick in the hospital, he couldn't read. So he told me I should come to hospital and read to him all the banis, he will read it. So I used to do that. Now I need a water. Actually not bad. When he got sick in last few years of his life, he couldn't read all his prayers. His prayers were not only when we all say 5 banis, he used to do 9 banis. The Sundar Gutka, the big you see, he will read from page 1 till end of the Gutka. That was his Nitya. And then his meditation and yoga was separate. And he told me, so I will go to his room and read his prayers and banis with him, before him. And sometime he will listening, he will sleep. Then one day he said, if I am sleeping, why don't you can read silently that time when I am not awake. So I used to do it. Then he got more sick. So he told me that, okay, you can read it. Sometime with the medicines I am sleeping, my 2 o'clock get missed. So you do it on for me, even in your own room at 2 o'clock, so my time doesn't get missed. So I will do that. And one day he told me, he said, today I am going to give you a very precious thing, a very big gift. As a wife, every wife thinks, oh, what a gift I am going to get. Maybe something special. So I said, what gift he is going to give me? I said, what? He said, wait, I will tell you. So then again I said, where is the gift? What gift you are giving? He said, I am giving you all my banis. I haven't given to anybody. All my prayers I do. Now I give you, these are your responsibility. So do it for me, and this is the wealth I am giving you. So then I started doing his prayers on my own, and then I will do my prayers. The whole day I will be carrying around my Nityanam Gutka or his Nityanam Gutka. So a week before he passed away, he said, are you doing my banis? And I said, what do you think? He said, no, I was just testing you. I said, you told me one time, of course I am doing it. I don't miss your time. And that's why how he was dedicated to his commitment. He never missed his commitment. He gave word to anybody. He will live for it. He will say, you are my daughter, you are my son, I will take care of you. He would take care of it. If he will say somebody, you are my responsibility, He will take care of that. My time I have. And so he left with us lot of knowledge, lot of teachings, which gave us thousands of mantras, and there are 100,000s of mantras. There's no end of it. Whole Sri Guru Granth Sahib is the mantras. This is in sutras and in the Naad. And the Sri Singhs have left all those mantras, and each mantra have power to it. And when you chant it, you read it, you meditate on that, and you see how much benefit it gives you psychologically, spiritually, and even physically. If we are mentally sick, we are physically sick, and they help us in every way. And each age has their own mantras. There are 4 ages. There were Satyug, Treta Yuga, Dwapar, and the Kali Yuga. There are 4 yugas have come, and now the Aquarian age has come. And in the Satyug, the mantra was Vasudeva, because it was Vishnu's time. Each age has its own time. And then in the Treta Yuga, the mantra was Hari. It was Lord Hari's time. And then it was the Dwapar was the Gopal. So it was the Krishna's time. Krishna's other name is also Gopal. And then it was the Kali Yuga, and then the Guru. Guru came. When Guru Gobind Singh came, he said, you don't have to have each age different mantras. I will give you one mantra which will be universal for every age. So he gave the Vahe Guru. So he said same words, Vahe Guru. Vasudeva, Hari, Gopal, and the Rama. So he put it together, and he said, now Vaheguru is your mantra, and when you chant, it will stay forever. It will go for every yuga. Every yuga will have this mantra. Guru Nanak, Guru for the Aquarian age, has given us the Mool mantra, and then the Guru Gobind Singh gave us the Vaheguru mantra, and then Sri Singh Sahib gave us that mantra which we just chanted for 1,000 days. And that was the mantra, Vaheguru, which we all chant, and we do it. And interestingly, somebody told me a few days back in Los Angeles, this year only, the whole population of the world, if we count our date of birth and the year, it turns out to 111. Like not the 2 digits of the year, not like in 1995, just 95, and how old you are, 26 or whatever. It will like I am 76, and I was born in 35. It comes to 111. We have done it to 100 people. With the date of birth we remember, friends we know and people we know. It turns out 111. You all can do it yours. And just take the last digits of the year, and then how old you are. 30, 50, 54, whatever. And they said it's only for this year because it is a very auspicious year. It comes out like 11, 11, 11. So 1 is infinity, and 111 adds up to your own destiny with it. So that's what is all over the world. We are celebrating 11, 11, 11. And we are fortunate one, we are celebrating through meditations and yoga and chanting and prayers and stuff. And I am glad I could speak, at least something. I had Guru Kasing my security. I said, if wherever I stop, please pick up my words and then You complete the stories. Okay, thank you very much, Satnam ji.